applying to sponsor your spouse to Canada and worried about the proxy nature of your relationship, aka your marriage? Hi, I'm Jade Calver. I own and operate Calver Immigration Consulting Inc. We're a full-service immigration firm located in beautiful Ontario, Canada. Today I'm going to be talking about proxy marriages. So first and foremost, what is a proxy marriage? So a proxy marriage is a marriage that took place where at least one of the participants was not present physically where the marriage was actually taking place. This may sound funny to those of you who are in Canada because we know for sure that a proxy marriage is not legal in Canada. However, in many countries abroad, especially because of restrictions for travel and because marriage often takes place in two parts, often there's a formal engagement and then a traditional marriage, the proxy marriage is quite common, and we see it frequently in spousal sponsorship applications. So for the most part, as I said, the general rule by Immigration and Refugees Canada is that the proxy marriage will not count for an application. So what this means is that if your marriage took place by proxy, then you cannot sponsor that spouse. That marriage is not valid. However, I just wanted to talk about, it really depends on which marriage is considered official in your country. So with a lot of the Middle Eastern Arab countries, such as Jordan, for example, it's actually the second marriage that is considered valid for the purpose of immigration. So I've had clients who have had the first engagement done by proxy, but that's not considered the official marriage in Jordan. And so therefore, Canada considers only the second marriage, the marriage where it has to be done in person. So if you had that initial engagement done by proxy, then it's a non-issue. However, if you're watching this and you are from Pakistan, for example, the actual engagement, so the nikah nama, so actually that first ceremony, that is what's considered the valid marriage, so the legal marriage by Immigration Canada. So if you have done this by proxy, meaning that one of you are not there at the time of the nikah nama, then you actually can't use this relationship to sponsor your spouse. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I had a relationship, a marriage that was done by proxy, what can I do to correct it? So there are a few things that we can do to correct it. So what I always do first as an immigration consultant is that I will take a look at your relationship, because if you qualify as common law partners, meaning that you've lived together in a conjugal type relationship for 1 year already, then we will actually just file the application as a common law partner sponsorship. Common law sponsorship is completely legal under Canadian immigration law, and so usually the quick fix is we look to see, are you common law? If you're not common law, then we also look to humanitarian and compassionate consideration factors. For short, we call them H&C factors. So H&C factors, they will focus often on such factors such as best interests of the child. Are there any illnesses? Does the sponsor, maybe they are not the breadwinner in Canada, they need their spouse to be here to provide for them. So we'll often look at H&C factors that may be able to overcome the fact that there is a proxy marriage. In some cases, I've had clients say, I'm just going to get married again. Do not do that, because then you would be unknowingly committing an offense, which is bigamy in Canada, because you'd be married to twice, in this case to the same person. So if you are correcting it, usually you have to go through the formal process of divorce or annulment and get that cleared before you remarry your spouse. And if that happens, you have to be very careful, because you, again, will raise red flags, understandably, with the immigration officer. So again, it's one of those things that I recommend you consult with a professional about before you actually proceed with any corrective measures to the proxy marriage. So that's everything that I have for today regarding proxy marriages and Canadian immigration. If you have any questions, if you've maybe completed your marriage via proxy, or maybe you're getting married and some of it may be via proxy and you're wanting to make sure that everything is going to be valid because you may submit a spousal sponsorship application in the future, please get in touch with me. I have significant experience with proxy marriages and vis-a-vis the sponsorship process. Again, we're online at calverimmigrationservices.com. You can also follow me for more tips and tips. You can follow me for more tips and tricks on Canadian immigration. Are you applying to sponsor your spouse to Canada in 2025 as an arranged couple, and you're wanting to know how to navigate the Canadian immigration system as an arranged marriage couple? Hi, my name is Jade Calver. I own and operate Calver Immigration Consulting Inc. We're a full-service immigration firm located in beautiful Ontario, Canada. Today I'm going to be talking about how to, as an arranged marriage couple, navigate the Canadian spousal sponsorship system. So, for the most part, the Canadian spousal sponsorship system, if you look at the list of documents, it actually asks for evidence that is more reflective of a traditional Western marriage. So they ask about proof of when you met, when your families met, your courtship in particular. Even if you look at the operation manuals for officers, they often they have them ask about what did that courtship period look like, how did they meet, did they meet organically? When it comes to arranged marriages for spousal sponsorship applications, of course, there often is a much shorter courtship period, if any, and in particular, the way with how you met is often through your families. So, when we're preparing these applications, we often focus on a few things. So first and foremost, we have to show, as far as your culture is concerned, how this is normal and traditional within your culture. We explain how, let's say you're from India, if there are particular ways in which the arrangement, how the families talk and then you meet, and then it's a much more subtle courtship, how this actually happens within your culture. We also next then, the second thing that we like to really focus on are the traditional ceremonies that happen within the marriage ceremonies. So we'll take a look at, were there specific engagement ceremonies that happened? If you had a large wedding, did all of the traditional, if it was a religious wedding, did all of the religious ceremonies happen? What were their significance, including pictures of these in the picture section of the application. All of this actually helps us to show the officer that, you participated in all of the regular rites of marriage that, you normally would have participated in, even if you still lived in your home country. We then also take a look at, what has the relationship been like for you and your spouse ever since the engagement or the official arrangement took place. So while the courtship may be short, we can also take a look at, what does the correspondence and visits to one another look like during this period? I always counsel my sponsors from Canada to actually go and visit their spouse, not only before we submit the application, but also post-application as well. We want to show that there is an ongoing legitimate relationship here, and that that despite it being arranged, it is not being done. Again, the two legal tests are that it's a legitimate relationship, and second, that it's not being done just for the purpose of immigration. So we want to show that yes, the relationship is legitimate, that you would have engaged in a similar marriage even if you lived in your home country, and that you're not sponsoring this person and you didn't engage in this relationship just for immigration purposes. So we have to show that even if Canada weren't a factor in the application, you still would be engaging in this marriage. And then, as I mentioned earlier, so post-application, we also like to focus on keeping the evidence of visits to one another, money transfers to one another, correspondence. So if a client of mine has an arranged marriage, and it's actually a relatively new and very traditional, and I mean by that, it's, your family's introduced you and you had a very little courtship before the actual marriage, I actually treat the post-application stage as a courtship as well. So again, I want to make sure that the sponsor is going there as often as they're able to. And in addition to that, I also like to keep record of photos, proof of your correspondence, proof of sending money back and forth to one another. All of these things, especially if you get an interview at the end of the process, it can actually really help in getting an approval rather than an officer saying, you know what, I think this relationship is too new, so it doesn't really make sense for, to fit within the parameters of the Immigration Act, and therefore I'm refusing the application. So that's everything today when it comes to arranged marriages and spousal sponsorship applications. We've helped lots of clients with arranged marriages, whether you're from India, the Middle East, the Gulf countries, Pakistan. I have lots of experience with these applications. You can come to me. I offer a non-judgmental free space where you can express freely your cultural norms and rights that happen. So please come to us with any questions that you have. We are online at Calver Immigration Services.